Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara edition with host Tim Dennis. You know what? With the weather, it is right now, everybody is in a happy mood, I think. And yeah, I don't know. Real estate's moving surely, but moving moderately. And yeah. Things are moving pretty good. I'm always investing out there. So to give you a little bit of a thing, you know the CAA building on Lake Street. Yes. Do you know the CAA building? Well, that was up for sale, and I'm going to tell you something. I put an offer on it, and I secured it. I've got it. So now I just got to go through my conditions. So I'll give you a little.
I have to go to you to book my vacation. Is that what you're telling me?
The CAA is moving to a bigger headquarters in Niagara. I think everybody's downsizing offices, and everybody's just they're minimizing, and so the opportunity came up. And I thought it was a great location, quick access to the Queenie. And so this place was up for sale for a bit. So in January, I said, okay, I'm going to make a run at it. I'm going to put an offer in. And I went in probably about $250,000 less than what the asking price was. But they used my offer, the agent that had the listing, used my offer to generate another offer. So they had probably people interested. And they said, hey, if you get another offer, let me know. So I went in. I didn't get the deal. The other agent, the other offer won, and they gave him 2 months conditions on it, which I thought, oh, come on, like a property like that, I don't think you need 2 months, but who knows? So it was conditional till April. So April came around, and I see it's conditional till June now. So these guys are asking. They extended it for another 2 months. Which I don't know if I would have done that in the first place on a property like this. I mean, if it was a $10 million property, you have to go through a lot of other investigations and kind of research on it to find out things. Yes, I understand that, but so they extended another 2 months. So then I call the agent up in the middle of April. And I said, hey, why did you extend this thing for another 2 months? And he goes, yeah, I know. So I said, listen, if this thing doesn't come together, I already knew when an extension happens on whether it's residential real estate or commercial, sometimes most times when they need another month, another 2 months to do their research and get their financing in order, I know there's problems. So, and that's when I called him and said, hey, listen, if this thing doesn't come together, call me. And I'll have an offer for you within 24 hours, but don't use my offer to bring in another offer. He goes, no problem. He gave me the guarantee on that. And I said, perfect. So all of a sudden, 10 days later, he calls me up. He goes, Rob, the deal's not coming together. I said, beautiful. Next morning, 8 o'clock, boom, I sent him an offer. And that was a Friday, and then they accepted it. And then we worked out the details on, I think it was Monday, and it was done. So I've got till the end of the month to do my research and due diligence on it. I want it. I'm going to firm up on it. I want the building. I think it's a great investment, great location. Yeah, so that's that'll be part that I'm going to make that into a multi-office place where we'll have also our Golfi Team office there, and also other people can have an office there also.
Okay. Curiosity now, because we know after the pandemic, as you said, a lot of people were downsizing, businesses were downsizing, headquarters were downsizing, yet you're getting into investing into office space. Are you expecting that, a lot of people are going to be looking for smaller offices like this? Is that what you're thinking as an investor?
Absolutely. And I've already got the name that we're going to call the shared office, cooperating office space. It's going to be called Happy Office Space. Happy Office Space. Now, you can remember that. I even did the chat GPT on it to see. There was a couple other ones. We were going to use ThinkSpace, and I got the domain names for those, the URL, so, yep. And then, so I put it through chat GPT, say, hey, which one is better? And they said, with the generation that's the younger generation now, they would love the Happy Office Space. And the other one is more, simple. It sounds good and everything, but happy, like everybody especially millennials all grew up having a Happy Meal, right? When you say the word happy, you actually are feeling happy. So,
Yep.
so
Now I'm hungry.
yeah, there you
Now
go.
I'm hungry.
There you go. So you know what it is? It's a different name. It's something that people can remember, and so we're gonna that's what we're gonna turn that into a Golfi and shared office space for people that are looking for a small, probably office there. And we're gonna make it state of the art. It's gonna be one of the most beautiful, something you'd see, like the show Suits, with all the glass, nice offices and stuff like that. We're gonna turn that into a beautiful looking place. And you know what? And I'll tell you something. It's the law of attraction. I felt I wanted that place badly. I was disappointed I didn't get it. And then it came to me again after. So I had a second chance at it and I didn't want to blow it. So and look at me, I'm investing in this market. Like we know commercial offices are it's not doing too well out there, but those offices that are downsizing, the companies are downsizing from offices, those people work in remote areas. And what's happening is a lot of GTA people moved into the Niagara area and they just want an office to work out of. Sometimes they don't want to work out of their house. They got kids screaming in the background. They can't have that. Sometimes there's too many distractions at home. It just depends what it is. But when they can go to a place and it's an office atmosphere, and you're more focused when you're in an office atmosphere, you're not feeling as tired. When you're sitting there at the kitchen table and you're working, hey, you got the couch on the left side and the kitchen on the right side. You're thinking about eating or you're thinking about laying down having a nap. So hopefully, when people are working at an office space, they don't think that. Like I don't. Like I wake up early in the morning. I know you wake up a lot earlier. I am up. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, right? And just my body clock just wakes up early, and especially if I have a snooze on the couch for an hour the night before. But what it is if I was at home and working at home, getting up at 4 in the morning, I would probably be tired because I'm in the comfort zone of where if I'm working at home. So it's good to have an office space. So that place there by next year, because I set it up to take possession in the fall. And next year, once I do all the renovations and everything, it's going to be state of the art. I would love to show it to you once I have it all ready.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's talk about some of the stats you sent me about benchmark prices in the Niagara region, Robert.
Yes. So, you know what? Niagara, I'm going to tell you, out of the 3 cities, like Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Welland, I can't believe Niagara Falls has got the highest months of inventory. That's telling me that it hasn't reached there. The public or the market hasn't reached Niagara Falls yet. I don't know why the months of inventory is 3.2 months, and then St. Catharines it's 1.6, and Welland is 2.2.
Explain to people who have not heard us talk about this in the past what months of inventory means.
So months of inventory is that if we stop putting listings, houses for sale today, let's say no more. This is it. Whatever inventory we have, that's what we have, and that means that that inventory will take 3.2 months to sell. So in Niagara Falls, we've got 3.2 months of inventory to sell if we list no other properties right now. St. Catharines, we're at just a little over 1.5 months of inventory. And Welland, we're at 2.2 months of inventory. So, and there was an article in the paper about buying a home this year, that this is the time to do it in Niagara because it hasn't really hit. It's hit, but not hit as hard as we think it's going to hit. So, and that's why I was showing these stats. Like you could see the numbers too. The average sale price have gone up since October of last year, and these are benchmark prices. So right now in Niagara Falls, the benchmark price is $665,000. Now in December, of last year. It was 550,000. You could have bought something in December and sell it today and probably make $100,000 on that property. That's how the shift changes in the market. And I knew things were going to turn around. St. Catharines in December, the average sale price was 545,000. Now it's 610,000. And in Welland, right in it's 605,000 today. The average sale price in December was 530. So things are moving pretty good in prices in Niagara, but I think they're going to go even stronger now. Now Niagara Falls, with the amount of inventory that's there, I think that's going to change. And so timing is good right now to negotiate some good deals out there. And because of the inventory is strong out there. So it's a good time for a buyer to get in there before the inventory depletes. And then you're going to be in multiple offer situations when you're buying. But the Niagara Association, you know what? They put out a thing that says another positive sign was the average days on market, which decreased 10 days. It's already starting. So 10 days now at 31 compared to 41 days on the market. So when a house is listed today, it's averaging 31 days before it's sold. So it's going to start moving. And it's like the wave from Toronto. When people are coming like from Toronto, it's like they go to Burlington, Hamilton, and then they start hitting St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, Welland. That is how the thing goes. It's like a ripple effect right from Toronto. And that ripple effect, it's like you drop a rock right in the center of Toronto. They either go to Barrie, they either go to Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, or they go towards the Hamilton, Niagara region. And now it's starting to hit towards Niagara, which is good for sellers. Which buyers, get on the horn and start looking at buying some houses before they go up even higher. But whatever. Like I always say, house prices double every 10 years. So don't worry about what you're paying today, because you're going to
traditionally go up in the summer. I mean, is that just a regular thing? Usually
it balances out in the summer. And so but we're in a totally different situation. It's hard to read what the past is and say this is what's going to happen. But I do feel that the market will slightly lighten up in the summer just because of vacation, just because of enjoying the summer. People are going away and they're gonna look, but not look as hard for their homes. But I do feel there's gonna be a spike in the fall, so be prepared. So get something if you're looking at something now. Get something before the fall comes, because you'll probably make money by the time you close the deal. So like I put the offer on this property on Lake Street. I'm closing in September. By the time I close in September, the value might be even higher than what it is today. So it's hard to tell. Now, we went through last year, that real estate recession from April to December. That's gone. That's behind us now. We're going forward, and things are doing well out there. And there's a shortage of homes. There is a shortage of homes out there, everybody. So again, it's going to be like that for a long time. We're never going to catch up to it. It's going to take 10, 20 years if we even come close to it. But there is a shortage of homes out there.
I noticed as I was driving around this weekend, there were a bunch of open houses. In fact, there were a couple of them that had the Golfi name on. Is that back, or are we still in middle pandemic numbers? Or have open houses come back?
Open houses are starting to come back more so, just because the buyers are, people are looking to drum up business. The online that's happening, like people filling out forms online, aren't happening as much. So our agents are going out and saying, hey, we got to get our house exposed. And they're meeting people that are possibly looking at buying a house at the same time. So there's two things that agents are getting out of doing open houses: trying to sell the house and also possibly picking up clients at the same time.
Now, we were talking in the beginning of the program about investing. You were talking about investing in a building in St. Catharines. Can that be a very attractive way to deal with your tax, Rob? I mean, are there benefits to owning an investment property?
There is. I think now investment properties, we know they cost money, but here is the best opportunity for any person that is working they have a job that's making whatever, 50 to 100 to $200,000. They should have some kind of small business side hustle that they're doing so they can get tax benefits. Now, if you own a property, you are getting tax benefits based on the mortgage insurance, things that you need to buy for the property, you driving gas for your car, insurance for your car. Now, people that don't have a side hustle, don't have a business, they can't write off their insurance. They can't write off their gas. And then, you know what, with a guy like me getting as many speeding tickets as I get, I need to write off my insurance. So you know what I'm talking about? Because I'm driving a lot.
That's a big deduction.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I benefit from that because I get to write off my insurance. Now, whether it's buying a house as an investment property, whether it's having a small little business at home in your basement, whether it's having a multi-level marketing little business, you have tax benefits. And you know what? When you go on, if you're going, let's say you're real estate, you got investment property. Hey, you're going to Florida. Go to a real estate office, get a business card there. Guess what? You're right off the flights. You're looking at properties down there. That's how you get your tax benefits on there. If you're going there on vacation, guess what? At the same time, go and look at properties so you can get that right off. Like, the thing is, that's how large corporations and business people do it. They get these tax benefits, and they get to write them against their income. And that's what everybody should be doing. They should be getting some kind of side hustle or investment property or whatever and write those off. You can write your lunches and dinners and everything off. Your accountant will tell you what you can and what you can't do. There's different things. You can write off a percentage of your house expenses. Say, hey, you know what? I'm using a room in the house. So I got to expense that. So because now, let's say you make $100,000 a year. Let's say your expenses are $10,000. Well, you're going to be taxed at $90,000 now, not at $100,000. So that'll bring your tax bracket down. So everybody out there, find a side hustle. Find something that will give you tax benefits. And whether it's buying a small house or whatever, you got to do that. That's will get you ahead in this world.
So, I mean, tax benefits are great. Investing is, as we talked about in the first segment of the program, is a great idea. So let's talk about housing from a different point of view for a moment. When people talk about getting a house, they talk about getting a mortgage, and you amortize over a certain period of time. I know you look at a 20-year mortgage or a 10-year mortgage or whatnot. And was I reading somewhere that in the UK, they're talking about 50-year mortgages?
Yeah, the United Kingdom, there's talk about lengthening the loan term on mortgages to 40 or 50 years as a way of making homes more affordable. So, and that is a good indication. But what happens is they will bring the price of homes up. So it's kind of catch-22. Like, yes, we need that extra 10, 20 years. I mean, it takes forever to pay your house off, but that's fine. The payments are low. You're going to make the money on the equity growth of your house as inflation goes up every year. But it's something they may have to do just so people can afford it. Now, in Japan, they started doing the 100-year mortgage decades ago, and it's a way for parents to pass on wealth without burdening the next generation with higher inheritance tax. Now, Japan can probably do this because their population is depleting. They're not really getting a lot of people moving into Japan, and there's a lot of empty houses out there. So they can probably handle that, not a problem, just to make it more affordable. And my understanding, they were in a recession for almost 20 years, like 30 years ago, and it lasted for a long time. And they do have a lot of vacant houses there because a lot of people left the country. So Japan can do this to make it more affordable, but you know what? Again, the advantage of longer loan term is monthly payments, but ultimately you'll pay more in interest down the road. So,
do most people ultimately pay off their loans or their mortgages, I should say, or do they move on after a certain period of time?
The new generation doesn't. Like our parents' generation, that was the first thing on their mind is to pay off the house. Like my parents' generation, they paid off the house so fast. I mean, they would pay off their house probably in less than 5 years. Now, they use it as kind of like a bank machine. They'll refinance it in every 5 years just to get some more money, pay some debt, maybe buy a nice car or a luxury item like a boat or pay, whatever. They'll do whatever, and they use it as a bank machine every 5 years. And so as long as they can afford the payments, they're fine. And they'll do that right up until they're in their 60s. And then, and sometimes my parents' generation will say, well, how come they're like 60 years old and they got a big mortgage? They bought the house for $200. Now they got a $600,000 mortgage and they just can't figure it out. It's like, well, they refinanced it so many times. But because it's just easier that way, and that's what the generation does. They will have a mortgage into their 60s with I'd say the millennial generation will.
So what makes more sense to you? I mean, you're in the business, obviously, and you see it on a daily basis. People talk to you about mortgages and that kind of thing. But what makes more sense, a mortgage over a long period of time or a loan over a long period of time? Is there a big difference?
Well, a loan and a mortgage, I guess a loan can be considered as, I guess, a private loan, like a second mortgage on a house.
Right.
And
Yep.
A mortgage, and you're paying a higher interest rate on a loan. Now, on a mortgage, you're paying a lower interest rate if it's a conventional mortgage from one of the major banks. You're paying interest on it. I mean, if the interest payment, if the loan amount or mortgage amounts are affordable, people have no problem paying it, and they'll pay it for years. I know there's people out there, they have B lenders. Now these B lenders they're charging like 9% interest on homes, right? Because the people, they couldn't get a conventional mortgage from a conventional bank because their credit rating is just not what they should be. So what happens is they go to the B lender, and the B lender says, okay, well, listen, I'm willing to take a chance on you, and I'm going to give you the mortgage, but you're going to have to pay me at 10% interest. Now, because interest rates have gone up, so do their interest rates go up. But a lot of those guys get choked. They never catch up because they get stuck into that interest rate and with those B lenders, and they make them sign that they have to renew another 5 years, not just 1 year. It's just it's not good. If they can work something out, and hopefully they clean their credit rating within the 5 years so they can go to a conventional mortgage, which is fantastic. But once you're locked in with these B lenders, it's tough to get out sometimes. And I know people are involved, and the penalties to get out is crazy. Like they're expensive. So they got to be very, very careful when you're going to a B lender when you're getting a mortgage.
Is it still a topic of conversation right now for people when they come in to talk to you about, well, I don't know, interest rates are going up, the prime rate's going up again next week, or it's steady, I'm going to wait? Do you hear people saying, I'm going to wait for the interest rates to come down? And when they say that, what do you tell them?
Well, they're not really saying that anymore. They were before, and they're not. Now they're going, okay, let's try to lock something in before it goes up. So, but they are worried about the market. What's really causing this market, with prices going up now, is the people that have homes right now. The people that own homes, they're not finding what they want to move to. So let's say somebody wants to downsize or upsize. Well, they can't find it. So now they're staying in their house. So that's what's causing a shortage of inventory. But and then now with interest rates, it's driving the prices up. So the combination. So if I were a buyer and I have knowing what's going on, the interest rates are actually not bad compared to like you and I know that those aren't bad interest rates because we've had higher interest rates in the past. The older you are, the more you're going to say that they're not bad. But the younger generation is saying, wow, I can't believe the interest rates are what they are. But they're not that bad. And, they could go up higher. They can go up another half point or a point, which I don't think so. I think they're going to hover around this number for a long time, and they're going to stay at this number for a while. But people or young people looking to buy, they're finally accepting it, you know, and they're not saying we're waiting for interest rates to go down. They're just kind of saying, well, we have to see if we can afford to buy with this interest rate right now. And that's what's becoming tougher, because housing prices are going up, and, you know, and let's say 2 years ago, they can afford to buy a $700,000 house at 2%. Well, now they only can afford to buy maybe a $450,000 at 5%. So it's making it tougher, because there's not that many houses under 500. You know, at 450,000, what are you going to get?
I've got a second now before we go to our next break, and I wanted to bring this up because I've been wanting to bring this up for a couple of weeks now. I had a neighbor down the road put their house up for sale, and one of my other neighbors decided to go through the open house. They had no intention of buying, but they were curious of what they were doing in the house and what it looked like and that kind of thing. So they went through, and they said it was a mess. In terms, it was just messy. There was stuff all over the place. They hadn't, quote unquote, staged it, and we had this discussion about how important or not important it is to stage a house. Do people care, or do they look beyond the mess and say, yeah, this is a great 3-bedroom home, it's got a den, etc. That's great. I don't care about the mess. I can fix that up. How important is staging a home, Rob?
Staging is important. Sometimes people can't see unless they see how furniture can be placed in a room. Like, they walk in and just go, I don't know if my furniture, you know, like. But if they see that we've done the room up and put furniture in, they go, hey, you know what? This looks really good. You know what? I love the way this looks. If I buy this house, I'm going to do my furniture the same way. That's what they look at, and that's what staging's about. And when people walk through, it's that level of like, wow. Not only people are looking at a new house, which is it's not a new house, it's a resale house, but it's a new house to them. But they're also looking at how most people, that when they buy a new house, they end up buying furniture. So they probably would buy furniture that replicates that, pretty close to that house that they were looking at. And it makes a difference because they can see themselves there with that furniture. Staging a house is so important, and it makes a difference. We offer that to our clients, staging. We got a warehouse. I just bought a warehouse. I bought it last year, but we had to lease back the people that were renting in there. They're moving out late summer, so we're actually be able to move our stuff in there in end of August, in beginning of September. And we offer that service that people, like, maybe a lot of realtors don't have, but it does make a big difference. It does.
Do you take the personal touches out when you do that? Because I had that discussion with somebody once too, because I had a real estate agent tell me, take all your family pictures off the wall, get rid of them. You do that?
Absolutely. You don't want people walking through and saying, hey, I think I know this guy. I went to school with this guy. I think I know this. You know what I mean? You don't
never buy from him.
Yeah. Or they, then all of a sudden you take the focus off the house, and then the focus is on the relationship that you met this guy one time before, you went to school with this guy. So it's always good to remove all personal items from everywhere around the house, so they're more focused on the house. It's okay to have pictures on the wall. It's okay to do all that, but do not have pictures of yourself, because you don't want people focused on who lives there. You want people to focus on the house. And I see that, because when I walk through houses, I look at the pictures and I'll say, hey, I know this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I went to school with him, right? So you don't want that. Even myself as a realtor, I get distracted, and I'm okay to get distracted because I'm the one that's showing the house. But the buyer, don't want them distracted. You want them focused on looking at the house, not looking at people's family pictures.
Right. So we talked about affordability of homes. We talked about when to buy. We talked about the summer coming up. Let's talk about a whole group of people who are in the news a whole lot these days, millennials. And a lot of millennials are renting, because we've talked in weeks past about maybe millennials don't feel that home ownership is in their future because they can't afford. Others are working hard towards it. Is it still that way? Do you hear from millennials, that the ones that are renting right now, that, saving up to own a home or saving for retirement is a pipe dream, Rob?
I know it's tough. Saving for retirement and saving for a home are the two toughest things for any millennial to do right now. And because where do you put the money? And if you do have money left over after whatever you're paying in rent, but it is a dream for everybody to buy a house, because that is part of your retirement. That is because the equity, you buy a house today for $500,000. In 10 years, it's going to be worth $1 million. And then 20 years, it's going to be worth $2 million. So $2 million in 20 years, especially for a millennial, they'll hit 60. The oldest millennial, I think now, is 42 years old. But when a millennial in 20 years from now, the oldest one, will have, in like $2 million value on his house paid for, and he can use that for retirement, or depending on what price point that he's buying in, or where he lives. But it is important for them to have, because that could be a big chunk of the retirement. It's the biggest investment, tax-free investment for them, because it's their personal residence.
Is it easier for people who own a home to arrange for their retirement? If you're renting, is retirement harder to think about, harder to afford down the road?
So usually, if you own your home, it seems like a forced savings for you. And
Okay.
and you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It says
Yep.
home ownership gives retirees flexibility, as retirees who downsize may be able to access significant amount of money. Just like I was saying, renters, conversely, must pay rent every month or face eviction, whether they are 25 years old or 85 years old. So, that's what they're going to be going through. Like, can you imagine you're in your 70s and you've been renting this house out for a long time, and then the owner, the landlord says, "Hey, sorry, I got to sell the house. I need to, give you notice to move out." And you're like, "Wait a minute, like I was planning on, living the rest of my life here. Now I got to be evicted." And that's hard. That's hard. But if you're a homeowner, they've got all different programs for you to stay in your house, that you can stay in your house and refinance. And they've got that program. I'm going blank on the program that they have, that people are taking up on, getting their home equity money out of their house so they can stay where they are. But again, it is a forced savings. It's a forced savings towards your retirement if you get a house. So the combination works for both. You got home ownership, plus it's a forced savings for retirement.
I know a lot of people who rent with friends. They have roommates, that kind of thing. And it was a thing in real estate a little while ago that people were talking about. Well, maybe with real estate, the way to get into it is to look at it differently. Get a friend, get a platonic friend to move in together and buy a home. Are you getting a lot of questions as an agent? Are people coming to you and saying, "Me and my friend want to buy a house," instead of "me and my partner or my wife or my husband"?
Absolutely. There's a lot of that going on. One of my son's friends did that. They bought a house together, lived in it for, I think, about 3.5 years. The one buddy of the two guys had a girlfriend, and they decided to, okay, hey, we built enough equity. We're going to move out together. He's moving out with his girlfriend. So when they sold, they each bought a house on their own. Like, so the one guy bought a house with his girlfriend, and the other guy bought a house on his own. He bought a condo. So that's how they built their equity. And it was only 3.5 years that they lived together. It wasn't bad. So they got memories of being good buddies, living together in a house and having, whatever fun times that they had. Now now that helped them build equity to buy their own house. There you go. People should be doing that. Now, yes, I get it. Sometimes people live differently. You want to make sure, who's cleaning the house, who's cleaning the toilets and all that kind of stuff, who's making a mess, why is the kitchen. You got to set rules for that. And if you set those rules and you're good, 3.5 years later, sell it. And you each got maybe $100,000, $150,000 in equity that you can go put your down payment on your next house by yourself. But until then, you need a buddy to buy a house, and a lot of them are doing that, especially in Toronto. It's not a bad idea in Niagara. That's even more affordable. I mean, you can get something pretty decent and move in together for 3-4 years, boom, and then you're set to go. You built up some equity, and as housing prices are going up, you're getting rid of the mortgage at the same time, and now you're free to go to do whatever you want.
All right, let's talk about those cities. You talk about the difference between living in Toronto and living in Niagara, and whatever makes people happy, it's a different set of circumstances for every different person. There was a story this week about the happiest and unhappiest places in Ontario, or Canada in general. The happiest city in Canada is in Ontario, but also the most unhappy city in Canada is in Ontario. What do you think qualifies to be a happy city?
Well, some of the names on the happiest cities in Ontario, I mean, I think there's there's a lot of wealth in those areas. So I could be unhappy. I'd rather be unhappy with wealth. How do they say that? Wealth always makes you happy. It doesn't matter if you're unhappy. So, right. So Caledon was the #1 spot for the happiest city. Milton #2, and Halton Hills #3.
Yeah, there's a bit of money in those places. You're right.
Yeah, so of course they're going to be happy. They got no stress in their life there. But the unhappiest that made the list, there was 3 of them in Niagara. So Niagara Falls hits number 83 on the top 100 list as unhappy. Yeah. St. Catharines number 87, and Welland number 93. And I know why they're unhappy.
Okay.
You want to know? They're unhappy because the Toronto people are moving to Niagara and pushing the prices of homes up to an unaffordable level. So that's why they're probably unhappy in Niagara, because the housing prices are going too high, and all these GTA buyers are coming in there and just moving the prices up.
And before the people in Niagara go completely crazy and say we're the unhappiest, actually, Barrie, Belleville, Welland, Sault Ste. Marie, Windsor, North Bay, and London are lower than St. Catharines and Niagara Falls. In fact, London was dead last.
Wow.
Which I found a little surprising, because I think London's kind of a cool city. I haven't lived there. I've lived in other places in Ontario, but I don't know a lot of people in London who are incredibly unhappy.
I think they're unhappy because of all the parties that are going on in the university and colleges in London between September and April.
Very true. Very true. That now, when you get people coming from Hamilton or the GTA and looking for a place in Niagara, because we know the deals can be had compared to living in Toronto, do they ask what's a better place do they say Niagara Falls, or do they say St. Catharines, or do they just say Niagara?
First they say Niagara, but I think they do have a specific city. Now, sometimes what happens is, let's say they're looking in St. Catharines and they can't find what they're looking for, or maybe it's too expensive, then they may veer out towards Niagara Falls and Welland. Now, Welland is not usually a lot of people's first choice, just because of the location. I'm not saying because of Welland. It's just kind of like a little bit of in left field for Welland. But Welland has gone up in price quite a bit, just because of the fact a lot of retirees moved out there. They're building a lot of these little subdivisions. They're bungalows, and they got 1 floor, and a lot of retirees from the GTA are moving out that way, and they drove the prices in Welland up. Now, Niagara Falls has gone up quite a bit, and it's actually gone up so much that it's even surpassed Welland and St. Catharines' average sale price. Now, 20 years ago, that would have never have happened. Niagara Falls was always kind of always on the lower end of the spectrum when it came to pricing, but now it's on the higher end. It's a city that a lot of people want to move to. Chippewa is becoming very, very popular to move out to. Stevensville, because now it's going outside of the Niagara Falls, just because of the fact of the expense. Now, South Niagara Falls is growing like crazy. That's where the hospital is going, in, not too far from Niagara Square there. And so you're going to see huge developments in the south end of Niagara Falls. Now, Niagara Falls North was the place to live. Like everybody, in Niagara Falls, people always said, "Hey, oh, you live in the north end, so that was a more expensive area." But now it's still expensive in the north end of Niagara Falls. But now it's going towards the development's going towards the south end.
I haven't asked you this in probably 2 or 3 months. Hotspot Niagara right now. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. Real estate, being what it is, what's the hot real estate market in the Niagara region?
You know what? I always like, I drive by this neighborhood all the time, and I love it. It's off of Kaler Road, between Kaler and Gardner Road, and Lundy's Lane and McLeod Road. That section there, it's a fairly new subdivision. I love that neighborhood. The houses, all the properties are larger, and they're all nice, different looking houses. If I was moving, I would move in that neighborhood if I was just looking for a nice, simple house. And they're probably going, somewhere between $800 to $1.2 million. A lot of them, depending on, what they have in their house. But I think that neighborhood is a great neighborhood. The south end is growing. And I didn't like Chippewa when I was growing up, but I do love Chippewa now. I would probably do something on the Parkway myself if I was looking for something even, more expensive in Chippewa.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems to change a lot over the years. You and I have talked about the fact what the hot spots were years ago, and then in the last couple of years. COVID, did it change any of it, really? I mean, is it right back to where we were just prior to COVID? Are we back there?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're, what, it's like there was a freeze, it was like a dream that happened, from the end of 2020 to the end of 2022. It was like, wow, did we just go through all that with housing prices going skyrocketing and then up and then skyrocketing down, and now we're starting to go back on track. I feel that I think we're back on track in real estate. But again, it's hard to gauge because we still have a shortage of all different products out there, consumer goods, that is changing life. We have a shortage of labor. We have a shortage of everything. So that's the new dynamics that we're facing in the future in the next 5 to 10 years. So we don't know where that's going to take real estate to.